If you've just landed on this pretty much brand new channel, this is where I do cycling videos, both inspirational and entertaining, with some deep dive road bike reviews, and I do love a versus battle, which is what I'm going to do today. So if that sounds up your alley, consider subscribing below. Now I'm sitting here in front of the all new Specialized S-Works 2019 Venge. And when I first picked up this bike from Specialized, say 2 to 3 weeks ago, originally I was planning on just doing a Venge review, nothing else. But after riding this thing for a few weeks, researching it for a number of days, and also listening to some of my subscribers out there, Tom and Barnaby, it became very clear that I needed to turn this review into a versus battle. The all new Specialized S-Works Venge versus the pretty much all new Specialized S-Works Tarmac SL6. Now I've spent weeks riding both bikes, the Venge and the Tarmac, but the Tarmac that I actually rode was the rim brake version. But outside of braking performance and some very slight changes in geometry, the Tarmac Rim versus the disc is pretty much the same bike. So this is a great comparison, because if you're on the market for an S-Works race machine, this could be a massive conundrum, and here are 5 reasons why. Number one, if you go to the Specialized website and look up race performance machines, you'll see the Tarmac and the Venge. If you read the profiles of the Tarmac and the Venge, both bikes have become more aerodynamic, both bikes have become lighter, both bikes are race performance machines. Thirdly, Specialized use a methodology called Rider First Engineered, which uses feedback from professional athletes and retool data, which is their bike fitting program, and they now have over 40,000 fits that have been captured digitally to create bespoke frame constructions across different sizes on both the Venge and the Tarmac. Both bikes have almost identical geometries. On a 54 centimeter, the 2 main differences that I would call out is the stack. So that's from here to here, up to here. So that distance here, which enables the rider to get either higher or lower. You've got 10 mil lower on the Venge, so you can get more aerodynamic, and there's more seat post in the Venge because, particularly with professional athletes, taller riders might choose to go down a frame size to get more aerodynamic. And lastly, both bikes appear to be colliding a little bit. If you read the most recent upgrade from the Tarmac SL5 to the SL6, it talks about becoming more aerodynamic and a lot faster. In fact, they compare it to the original Venge because apparently the new Tarmac is more aerodynamic than the original Venges that rolled off the production line. And then if you go read about the new Venge, they talk about it being lighter and more of an all-round performance machine. So there's plenty of opportunity to be confused. And what I wanted to do in this review to try and delineate both bikes is break it into 5 categories. We're going to start with speed and handling. We're going to start there because according to Specialized, aero is everything. Number 2, let's talk about weight. Number 3, aesthetics. Number 4, comfort, and we'll finish off with compatibility. So speed and handling, I'm going to spend a little bit more on this one than the others because I'm going to blend in a lot of my own personal experiences riding both bikes. And it's fair to say that when Specialized released the Venge Vias, the predecessor to this Venge, they probably got a little bit too carried away with aero is everything, because literally within 24 hours of it being launched and going to professional athletes, the feedback that came straight back was it was too heavy and also too complex, notably in the cockpit area. Having said that, they did create a super fast aerodynamic machine, setting the benchmark for high speed, which meant they had to at least match it this time round while improving weight and ease of use. Through the use of a very cleverly built algorithm by one of Specialized German engineers, Ingmar, that's right, the new Venge is now German engineered, Specialized almost changed their whole approach to the way they built the all-new Venge, and the software algorithm essentially took traditionally used software tools within the bike industry, and they use a lot of aerospace technology and made it more aligned to bicycles as opposed to space shuttles, which made Specialized a lot more efficient with their ability to trial and test different iterations of this frame right here. Specialized created what they call free foil library tube shapes, enabling them to actually improve the speed of the new Venge over the Vias by 8 seconds over 40 kilometers. We'll go into how they improve the weight and complexity part shortly. Conversely, the Tarmac SL6, that's essentially a re-engineered frame from the SL5 and have used narrower tubing, and stronger and more compliant carbon weave, which is FACT 12R, is now 45 seconds faster over 40 kilometers compared to other lightweight bikes in the same category. So they're both really fast bikes, but because of their designs, they certainly have some unique riding characteristics. And the key ones that I wanted to point out are as follows. Firstly, the Venge in a tailwind. You get this incredible sailing feeling like you're being pushed along. Now you get that a little bit with the Tarmac, but it's not something that makes you go, wow. I felt with the Venge at around the 35 km mark when there was no wind or a slight tail, you'd feel the bike lift like you were getting a slight push. Once again, you get that with the Tarmac, but it's not as pronounced. On a descent, they're both incredibly fast bikes. However, with the Venge, I noticed that the Roval 64s, in a crosswind, you do get pushed around quite a fair bit. And in fact, I was on a descent going about 70 kilometers an hour, and it did make me feel a little bit nervy on this bike, whereas on the Tarmac, I didn't get that. Now with unassisted rolling, i.e. not pedaling either on a descent or on a flat road, I noticed the Venge ability to either maintain or gather speed more so than say the Tarmac. In fact, I went riding with a mate who was riding a Tarmac next to me, and this is what he had to say. Brett, what do you reckon of the brand new Venge? What were your thoughts?
It's a fast bike.
Yeah.
It looks fast when it's standing still, and when it's moving it's even faster. Yeah, it's sort of pedaling, doing a left-hand corner, a bit of pressure on the pedals today on the front, and you've just actually rolled past me with a grin on your face.
What about sprinting out of the saddle on the flats? Once again, the Venge felt more stable, although the rapid kick and acceleration you get from the Tarmac at lower speeds will take the Venge out any day. And lastly, on stiffness, well, they're both so stiff, I can't really make comparisons here. The second thing I want to talk about is weight. Now, I took this Venge into a local Specialized dealer, Hampton Cycles, to weigh the complete bike. And it was 7.47 kilograms complete bike. Interestingly, while I was there was also a Tarmac SL5 with Roval 32s and SRAM ETAP disc, and that was 7.38 kilograms. It's incredible to think that the all-new Venge is almost the same weight as Specialized previous all-round lightweight race machine, and it had 64 Rovals on. But if we look at the stock S-Works Venge and Tarmac 56cm out of the box, the Venge comes in at 7.1 kilograms and the Tarmac comes in at 6.65 kilograms with 50mm Roval carbon wheels. So the weight saving there is about 450 grams, which is reasonably significant, particularly if you're going up hills. Now the third point is aesthetics. Now in my opinion, they're both very attractive looking bikes. However, never in my 10-year road cycling history, riding around on this thing, have I been commented so positively on a road bike. In fact, my wife, who has very good taste, she said to me,
do you get to keep it? Because it's definitely the best looking bike you've ever brought home.
And I've brought a lot of road bikes home. PS, excuse the stray leg. My wife and I have a couple of young kids who are constantly circling us. Now to go into the details of the aesthetics, I have to start in the cockpit area because it really is quite magnificent. Specialized engineer Doug Russell allegedly said he spent months thinking about nothing but cockpit integration and ease of use. Those months of cockpit thinking, in addition to IGMA's algorithm, which took care of the rest of the bike, including a seat post which is more aerodynamic, compliant, and moves slightly away from the traditional aero truncated airfall design of the Vias and other competing aero bikes on the market. All those things combining, including the 64 wheels, has made this machine a standout from the crowd. It really is such a crowd pleaser, and for many, that's very high on the priority list. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the Tarmac. That is a great looking bike. And with a set of Roval 50s, it's got a bit of grunt. Although I've personally found that because the narrower, lightweight design, particularly with shallower wheels on it, it will look a little puny in comparison to the Venge. Now, the fourth thing I want to talk about is comfort. Now, I actually owned the original Venge, and while that was a fast and good looking bike, it was uncomfortable. Now, while I didn't ride the Venge Vias, by all accounts, they hadn't improved comfort much. Now, this Venge here, while it's no Roubaix, taking it on some longer 100km plus base cruisy rides, going up steep hills, absorbing the brunt of the road, I was surprised at its shock absorbing ability. The new frame tubing, the rider first engineered approach, a more compliant handlebar system, and seat tube has rallied together to make this bike, I'd say, okay for long cruisy rides with mates. Specialized head engineer Chris Yu describes the comfort actually coming from the Venge being more structurally efficient, so there's actually less material required to make this bike versus previous Venges, and by having less material, it makes it more shock absorbing, more compliant on the road. Having said that, for longer rides, I would definitely take the Tarmac SL6 over the Venge any day of the week. First of all, it's got a slightly more relaxed geometry than the Venge. The carbon fibre mould is a higher quality on the Tarmac than the Venge, using FAC 12R, meaning they use more carbon pieces, and the seat post employs a non-standardised layout that enables more compliance at the top end of the post towards the seat, so you get less pressure in the rear of the rider, notably the lower back. The fourth aspect, compatibility and price. Now, this Venge right here comes in at 14,500 AUD. It's only disc and electronic group set compatible and looks really ace with the 64 depth rims. It starts losing its jaw-dropping appeal with any wheel that has lower profile. Also interesting to note that the junction box for the Di2 now sits in the seat post, which has been put there so pro teams can hang out of the car and tinker more easily. Whereas the Tarmac S-Works SL6 comes in at 13,000 AUD, but you can get rim brake version, mechanical, and its ability to aesthetically work with other wheels makes it a better proposition if you're going to be riding with training wheels or lower profile race rims. And Specialized offered both these bikes with Specialized branded power meters. So in conclusion, yes, I do know this camera is here. While these bikes have become more and more like each other, they still have very unique riding characteristics. I'd have to say, if you love a head turner, you live in a relatively flat part of the world, you like fast bunch riding, you like criteriums, then this bike's going to tick a lot of boxes. However, for me, I live in a relatively flat part of the world. I love fast bunch riding, I love criterium racing, and I would choose the Tarmac over this bike. And the two main reasons are, one, I do like hill climbing, and the Tarmac's a better hill climber. And additionally, it's a more comfortable road bike. I do a lot of long Ks, and having a bike that's a little bit more forgiving is better suited to my personal needs. But having said all that, these are two magnificent bikes from Specialized. If I could take them both, I would. Now, with unassisted rolling, i.e. not pedaling, either on the flats or down. Now with unassisted rolling, i.e. down the flats, that doesn't even exist. You're down a descent, not down the flats. These months of cockpit, stop emphasizing cockpit.
Maybe I'll take you back and I'll keep the bike and I can sell it because it's the best looking bike you've ever had.
Okay.